Good morning, everyone. David Lang here with my regular weekly fireside chat. How is everyone? If anyone is out there right now, doing okay, but the coronavirus is obviously kicking us and it took us a fair bit here in Israel. So there's a bit of trepidation as to more restrictions happening, and they've already happened. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're okay. Take the let's say the restrictions seriously. I mean, I see too many people wearing masks not the right way or not wearing masks at all. You know, cover your nose, cover your mouth. Take it seriously. On the other extreme, you see people, or to the very extreme rather, you see people that they don't take the restrictions at all seriously to the point where they actually think everything's a conspiracy theory. They think that the coronavirus is like, you know, Bill Gates and 5G and all sorts of crazy stuff. Have no time for such stupid views. If you want your grandma and grandpa to pass away, be my guest, but I certainly don't want that to happen. And, you know, better to be cautious, I say. So anyway, I hope you're being responsible, safe, and, you know, and healthy, of course. I'm going to rant a little bit today. What's new? But maybe a bit more than usual. I want to start with last week. I received a number of comments, not too many, of people taking me to task for the fact that they're basically saying I should become vegetarian and taking me to task for my photo showing my barbecue meat. These are people that watch this. So I have to say to those few people that said that, you know, kol hakavod, well done to you for being a vegetarian. I respect that you have your beliefs, but you're wasting your time with me, and I don't understand why you'd watch something called a fireside chat, where the whole shtick of this is to be talking in front of my barbecue because I've barbecued. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me, and I mean, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you think I'm going to become, as strongly as you feel about being vegetarian, I feel about eating meat. And I'm not eating meat ideologically, I am eating meat because, one, I love the taste, I'm Australian, okay, I've been brought up that way, it's part of my culture. I'm not saying all Australians are meat eaters, carnivores, but the vast majority are not just carnivores, but like extreme carnivores, and I am, and I'm not going to apologize for that. The chances of getting me to become vegetarian are about the same chances of getting me to become anti-Israel. Just stew in that meat juice for a second. Okay, so you're wasting your time. Please be respectful about it. I'm not being disrespectful to you. You don't have to watch this. I'm not like posting this on your wall. So please be respectful about it. I don't appreciate being told, well, if you want to say, you know, you maybe should consider being a vegetarian, or well and good, but there were a few people there was one person that cancelled me. Yeah, you want to cancel me for being a meat eater? That's what we've come to. This whole cancel culture is now going to go to meat eaters. So don't watch this, please, because there's some meat. I'm not going to apologize for that. Never will. Love my meat. Okay, but if you want to be a vegetarian, be my guest. I'm not going to shame you for that. So that's the first part. But I'm only winding up. Hi Ari, how you doing, mate? Mazal tov on the engagement, by the way. So what I want to talk about today, it's a bit of a continuation from last week, where I really ripped some Wokesters, a bit of a new one, if I can put it that way. PG-13 broadcast coming up. So basically, I had a bit of an interaction this week, which I wanted to discuss. I'm not trying to shame the person involved. I just want to, I'm not going to mention names. No one will know who this is anyway. But just as kind of to make my point. Okay, so what happened? I've got a Facebook friend who I'd call very woke, if you know what I mean. A social justice warrior of sorts. Posts a lot of social justice issues on Facebook, BLM, and all sorts of stuff like that. But also is very active, I think, outside of Facebook as well. So I'll give him credit for that. He's not just a armchair social justice warrior, but he actually gets out there and does stuff. And he posted something this week which kind of bristled me, kind of got me, let's say, ruffled my feathers, as it were, my chicken feathers, as it were. And what did he do? So he posted something this week. It was a video of a racist person I think it was in San Diego, a restaurant abusing an Asian couple. It was disgusting, racism. Really disgusting. At the end of his post, though, he said something along the lines, because the waitress actually said, get out of here and stay out. You know, you're not welcome here. So he kind of concluded it with a kind of consolatory message saying, you know, we're seeing some good progress against racism of this sort, or something along those lines. And that was the part that kind of ruffled my feathers, because this is a person who's constantly posting on Facebook, as far as I can see, you know, things, again, these social justice issues. He's a real anti-racist campaigner. I've met him in real life. He's a really nice guy. I mean, I've had dinner with him, and we get along fine in real life. But this kind of ruffled my feathers. And why am I saying that? Because this week we've seen, like, anti-Semitism is just out of control on the left and in the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, just this week we saw Diddy, you know, Puff Diddy, Sean Combs, who basically, he tweeted constantly and posted on social media about the Farrakhan speech that he did earlier this week, and he promoted it. And this speech was, you know, Hitler would have been proud of this speech, except for the fact that it was done by a black man, because Hitler didn't like black people. Although I've called Farrakhan Black Hitler, and I stand by that. He's a piece of garbage, and he's Black Hitler. But Diddy, so he posted that he was promoting it on his channel, because Fox News were going to have it on their channel, Soul TV or something along those lines, and then Fox, and then Fox cancelled that, rightly. I don't know why they even thought it was a good idea. And then Diddy's Revolt TV, not Revolting TV, although it should probably be called Revolting TV, they offered a platform for Farrakhan and his disgusting anti-Semitism. And he didn't let anyone down in terms of, you know, talking against Jews. I mean, I wrote about it. I don't have to go through it again, but he basically was at his anti-Semitic best, or worst, depending on how you look at it. So that was disgusting. And Diddy, he did that. He's got like 60 million, at least 60 million social media people following him. He's got a huge following. You had the guy, Deshaun Jackson, I believe is his name, from the NFL, that National Football League, the American way of football, which I'm not so familiar with, but I know it's a big deal because there's a lot of people following it. Although I'm an Australian rules fan, I'm wearing my Eagles, West Coast Eagles shirt today for the Aussies out there. Go Eagles! So it's basically anti-Semitism in the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not just Black Lives Matter movement. I've spoken about this in these fireside chats over the past weeks. In the movement, with celebrities promoting Farrakhan. Chelsea Handler, I mentioned that. Doesn't know what she's doing, but like still, it's become mainstream and it's become acceptable, and it's disgusting. Diddy now. You've had Ice Cube. I could go on and on and on, and no one's talking about it. I mean, not no one, but you know what I'm saying. Like the people on the left, these anti-racist campaigners. I haven't seen one person. I'm sure there are a few people, but it's like there isn't the kickback against that. So I'm going back to now the thread I was speaking about at the beginning. So you've got this anti-racist guy, my Facebook friend, who I've met in real life, and he mentioned this incident in the restaurant, which is disgusting. And I said, look, this is really disgusting, but I would like to see more people speaking about, again, anti-Semitism. This is coming in a week where, you know, everything I've just described has happened. And it was just, I found it kind of like really tone deaf, his post. Especially the part at the end. Really, that's what really kind of got me going. The part at the end where we were making progress against racism. So, and I said it respectfully, by the way. I wasn't rude, but my point was clear. And then he said something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing. And again, I'm not out to shame him. I'm just trying to explain the interaction and draw a lesson from this and make some points. He said something along the lines of, well, what did he even say? I mean, I'm actually really, really upset about this right now. Well, I do speak, me and my friends, we do speak out against anti-Semitism, something along those lines. And then I pointed out, and I'm guessing if he does, first of all, I haven't seen it on Facebook, but secondly, if he does it in real life, it's against Trump and the right and the far right. Not that I think Trump is anti-Semitic, by the way, but there are people, you know, it's about the right, people on the far right. And then I said something along the lines, yeah, but I would like to see more people on the left speaking out against the anti-Semitism on the left and within BLM. But see, I know he supports BLM, and he's definitely on the left. And this is, you know, I see that as the most pernicious anti-Semitism, because it's so acceptable and it's couched in human rights terms. And I said something along the, also I added, you know, people aren't on the left, aren't speaking against that. And also, you know, it's so acceptable for Linda Sarsour and Ilan Omar and the squad and, you know, people like that, Rashida Tlaib, to be anti-Semitic, but it's couched in terms of anti-Semitism. That's what I said. I should also point out that's not just couched in anti-Semitism terms, but they've used tropes about Jews with money, you know, the Benjamins, all about the Benjamins, speaking about dual loyalty. I mean, it's real anti-Semitism. But as I spoke last week, anyway, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And I explained it last week. I'm not going over that again. But his response also then just really, you know, it's a red rag to a bull. Instead of saying, listen, I feel your pain or something along those lines, or, you know, I hear you and, you know, I'll do more. He said something along the lines of, well, I don't really agree with your interpretation of things. He mentioned that. And then I thought, I didn't actually answer that directly, but I thought, well, wait a minute, the interpretation of what? The fact that there's anti-Semitism? I assume he meant that that the squad and Linda Sarsour are anti-Semitic. And I mentioned anti-Zionism. So what I want to say now is this. And by the way, did I mention this guy's not Jewish? He's not Jewish. So if there are any non-Jews listening to this, which there are, because I have many non-Jewish viewers, and you know it, you're the right people to talk. You're not actually the right people to say this to because you understand this. But you know, maybe this, if you share this, it'll go to some other people. It's never okay for a non-Jewish person to tell a Jewish person how to interpret what is and what isn't anti-Semitism. It's never right, and I call that goy-splaining. Okay. And you don't do that. Just like, I don't think this guy, by the way, that I'm speaking about, would dare, if a black person came onto his thread and said, listen, you know, it'd be nice if you know, there's a lot of anti-black sentiment going on, so I don't agree with your statement that there's progress against racism. I doubt, there's no way on earth he would speak to him the way he spoke to me. And we're seeing this also with the cancel culture. It's okay to have a cancel culture, but never when there's anti-Semitism. I'll get into that later on in this rant today. So, you know, there's a real double standard here, but I'm saying it's never okay. Only a Jewish person that experiences Jew hatred can define what Jew hatred is. And it's goy-splaining, and I'm, you know, I know the word goy has been used in a derogatory way. All it means is the nations, but I'm using it because that's an actual term now. And it's kind of a catchy thing. Not, you know, chas v'chalila, or God forbid, I look down on my non-Jewish brothers and sisters, but that's the term. A non-Jew cannot tell a Jew what is and what isn't anti-Semitism, which is Jew hatred. And that's what he did. That's part, you know, that's just part of the thread. And then he says to me, as part of the thread, what do you want from me? Like, okay, you made your point. I said, well, I want to raise awareness of this. He's like, okay, you made your point. What else do you want from me? I really felt like I was being shown the door. It was very disrespectful and passive-aggressive. And I'm just paraphrasing everything. But then I said something along the lines, well, I would hope that your reaction would be something along the lines of, well, this is worrying and, you know, yeah, we need to speak out against anti-Semitism. But it was very much an attack on me for even raising it. And no one in this thread, there was one person I think that liked my initial comment, but no one sort of jumped in. By the way, that's not necessarily a bad thing. No one jumped against me, but no one sort of really said, yeah, you know, we need to speak out against anti-Semitism. Why should I have to spell that out? It was very clear what I was saying. I really felt there was a cold wind going on in that thread. And I was being shut down. And he kept just mentioning it. So then I mentioned it again, that, you know, I want to, you know, it'd be nice if people spoke out against it. And I mentioned all the things that I mentioned now. And that there isn't progress against racism. And he kept saying, look, you're not understanding me. And, you know, I wish you a good life. I wish you peace, you know, which is just mealy mouth stuff for get the hell out of here. Just trying to shut me down. And we left it at that. I wasn't getting anywhere, but I was respectful. I was really respectful, but he's not used to, I'm guessing, he's not used to people disagreeing with him, or I wasn't even disagreeing, well, I was disagreeing with one little statement, but I was respectfully just saying, listen, we have to fight anti-Semitism. Look, things are terrible. And you need to talk out about the anti-Semitism on the left and within the Black Lives Matter organization. And he didn't like that. Oh, he also said something along the lines, I don't think that I should have to say stuff just to make you feel comfortable. And I said, listen, this isn't about making me feel comfortable. It's about doing the right thing. Are you an anti-racist campaigner or not? I just couldn't, I shouldn't say I couldn't believe it because I'm used to this, but like, it really bothered me greatly. He felt you know, I was trying to put him into a corner to speak out against anti-Semitism. Why should it be about me putting someone in the corner to speak out? If you're an anti-racist campaigner, this is the worst racism we're seeing. Okay, I stand for my black brothers and sisters. There is systemic racism going on, discrimination, and I stand no strings attached, but I will talk out against anti-Semitism. But and this guy is a virtue signaler, okay? He is a virtue signaler, and there are many like him. Look how good I am. This is the trendy thing to be talking out against. This is the trendy racism, but like, speaking out against anti-Semitism is never trendy. It's not woke. Speaking about woke, like he either knows what's going on here, like with Diddy and Ice Cube and all this sort of stuff, and just chooses not to really speak out against it. And he's not speaking out against it. Because, by the way, if he was speaking out against it, he would say, you're right, and I do, and thank you, I'm sorry for your pain. That's what I expected, actually. But he either knows about that and just chooses not to, or he doesn't know about it. How is that woke? That's being asleep. Isn't woke about being aware of things going on and speaking out against them? The racism going on. So either way, there's no excuse for that. So again, I'm not trying to shame this person. I haven't mentioned his name. I doubt he's going to watch this video. If he does watch this video, I hope what you get out of it, is that you understand that there's a lot of pain the Jewish community is feeling. And you're blind to it. And I believe that you just pick and choose which racism to talk against. And talking against anti-Semitism, speaking out against it, fighting it, is very uncomfortable for you unless it's against neo-Nazis, which is kind of the trendy anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, fighting against that sort of anti-Semitism on the right. But when it comes to, you know, taking stock of the disgusting anti-Semitism within the movements you support, the Black Lives Matter organization, and on the left, you're not willing to do it. So you basically cancelled me on that thread, and I felt that you put up a wall and you're not willing for dialogue. And that's another point I want to raise now. I'm obviously on the right when it comes to certain issues. You know, when it comes to social justice and things like that, I'm not really so on the right. You know, I believe in many things which might surprise you when it comes to social issues. But I find that people who are more on the right they can be very vehement in their views and some, you know, passionate, but they don't really shut people down unless they're anti-Semites. There's some sort of dialogue and discussion. They're quite confident in having these sorts of debates. But I've really found in my experience that people on the far, let's say the far left, or the far left, I don't want to paint everyone on the left. I know there's some people watching this who are quite on the left and very pro-Israel. But I'm saying my experience is that there are many people on the left, let's put it that way, that they don't want to even debate. They cancel you, they shut you down, there's no discussion. And this is what I experienced this week. And it really did obviously upset me. I've been ranting about it for a number of 15, 20 minutes already. Even though I know about this, but it's kind of, how do I say it? It's just really troubling. These people that are supposed to stand for human rights, that will shut you down, even if you respectfully say, hey, us Jews have rights. And the people you're supporting, there are many of them who are relegating us to cockroaches and termites. Huge celebrities that are doing that with cumulatively hundreds of millions of people out there influencing the next generation. You're not saying anything about this. It's like normal, just a day at the office. I mean, of course I'm going to speak out about it, but like, there's no compassion there. I didn't find any compassion or understanding. And again, I was respectful in that dialogue. He might have felt that he was under attack, and he felt uncomfortable. He was outside of his safe space. That's what happened, and then he just shut down and actually got quite passive-aggressive and defensive, and basically told me to get the hell out of Dodge. So, again, I mean, I think we need to have dialogue. And I'm seeing that more people on the right are willing to dialogue with people on the left than vice versa. And yeah, this whole cancel culture is out of control, yet at the same time it doesn't apply to people that are disgusting against Jews. So I'm always going to be there to speak out. Speaking about speaking out, we have, you know, a bit of a positive now. So we have a guy called Zach Banner, also an NFL player. I posted a video of his on my blog. You can check it out. You've probably already seen it, where he's a black guy and he spoke out against this sort of racism of his fellow NFL player, Deshaun Jackson. Basically, he quoted Hitler against the Jews, and it was a fake quote. And then he apologized. Basically, I think he apologized because the owner and the manager of his team are Jewish, and he was forced to apologize. But then it turns out that he liked a post on, I think, Instagram, whereby the post said that he shouldn't have had to apologize. So how sincere do you think that is, by the way? But anyway, Zach Banner posted a very heartfelt discussion saying we need to, us black people, the right way to stand up for our rights is not to step on other people, including Jews. And we should be embracing the Jewish people. We should be hugging them. And it was a beautiful, beautiful message. So thank you, Zach, because I'm sure you're watching my fireside chat, unless you're a vegetarian, of course. So that was positive. And another positive, because I want to leave on a positive after this negative rant, is that there's food vendors. There's a restaurant in Toronto, probably heard about it, where the owner has been disgustingly anti-Semitic. She said no Zionists allowed, straight from the Linda Sarsour playbook. And basically she's got into a whole lot of trouble because of it. Suppliers and service providers and partners, Uber Eats, etc., etc. Even the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, criticised her. She's been cancelled herself, and it's anti-Semitism, what she's been doing. And I bring this up because I've been criticised a lot, even by people on our side, when I expose anti-Semites. A lot of what I hear is, well, you're giving them more attention. And it's always, and I mentioned this in one of my first fireside chats, that, okay, exposing them is a good thing because there needs to be repercussions, there need to be consequences. And I think this is a good example of that. Because this came to light, and I'm proud that I've been pushing, I've written so many blog posts about it, so it's probably helped get it more exposure. Now, this food vendor's anti-Semite, the restaurant owner, is now feeling the pinch. There has to be consequences to Jew hatred. Enough is enough. Okay? We're sick of being whipping boys and girls. And as long as we operate within the confines of the law, we should fight anti-Semitism. We cannot rely on other people, the Wokesters out there, the people on the left who are so-called anti-racist campaigners. We can't rely on them. We have to rely on ourselves. And I'm really gladdened to see that it's paying off, at least in this case, against this food vendor's restaurant. And we should continue to fight anti-Semitism and not have to rely on other people. But at the same time, calling out the Jew haters and those who embolden them and ignore them. That's what I had to say this week. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great weekend, everyone. And hopefully I will speak to you next week. Take care.